Okay. My husband and I and my children were discussing some things. Um, as I told you in one of my previous videos, um, that I've kind of been going through this journey, this process of kind of looking into myself, looking at my shadow, looking at my faults and dealing with all those and learning. Within that, like I said, I wasn't raised in a religious household, all that. Um, I was really on the fence, like I said before. And it's just been within the last, I guess, couple of months. It wasn't really something that was forced on me. I've looked at, both sides of it really deeply. I mean, I've actually, I would call myself a ever learning philosopher. There's always more to learn. There's always more to dig into. And in doing that, I found myself within my very nature of who I am, who I've always been, just in, even in my mannerisms, the way that I see things, the way that I react to things. And I found myself actually when my husband was really into the Astrachi religion, and it is something that he said that he identified with. I was very, very, I don't know, I guess I was kind of confused. I really didn't know. I've always been a searcher, always wanting to learn more, always wanting to research and truly understand something instead of saying, yes, I accept it because everyone else accepts it, or I accept it just because that's just the way it is. I've never been that way. Just in my nature, I have never been that way. I've always been independent. Always. Even when I was a kid. If someone asked me to do something and I didn't understand the reasoning for it, or it didn't make any sense, it would seem like I would have an attitude about it, but didn't really have an attitude. I wanted to understand why I was doing it. What is the reasoning behind it? You know, I've always questioned. Um, and there was some things we were talking about, and this subject is going to be kind of funny, but it's been proven, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen this, but I'm sure there's other people that haven't. And the best way that I can describe it, if I were to put it in a word, would be consciousness. Now, I remember not long ago I was watching Animal Planet, and there was a story about these monkeys. And it shows these monkeys, and they're grabbing the fruit, and one of them's taking the fruit and cleaning the fruit, opening it up, eating it, right? And then there's a group of monkeys over here. Well, these monkeys see this other monkey cleaning this fruit, and the people that have been watching these monkeys for all this time realize, this is something new that this one monkey's doing. Well, then the group of monkeys start doing it. Okay? But the strangest thing about it is that they started documenting on the other side of the world, completely on the other side of the world, monkeys. And then the monkeys on the other side of the world started doing it. So in a way, I see that as kind of as like a collective consciousness. It's not the same thing as what we see as a state collective or this liberal collective or whatever. It's just, part of nature. But it can be used. If we don't understand it, it can be used against us. Okay? Not to say that we are monkeys, but if you actually look at the science, that's what they study on. They study on monkeys. And I don't know if it has to do with genetics or whatever, or some kind of theory or whatever, but they do. And we were sitting there and we were talking about this, and And it's really strange because I started noticing myself just in my actions, in the very way I speak, the way I come off, the way my family's. I mean, my dad is the same way. You know, he'll be a calm and rational person. But if we feel like we are being threatened, or if we know something is wrong, and people are suffering from it, or are going to be hurt from it, or if they're ignorant and they don't understand it, we may come off as very, very forward and very, very aggressive, but that is part of who we are as people. I mean, I honestly think that within our DNA, we have berserkers, because we do come from the Teutonic, Viking bloodlines. When we trace it all back, it's where we come from, and I realized that just by doing the search for the history of my family and all this stuff, because that is very important to me, where I come from, where my roots are. Well, during all of this, even in researching, everything that's going on now, where does it lead to? Who's doing it all? Following the money, following the symbolism, looking into it as deep as I can go. I found out that I was already living like a heathen, or what they call heathen. I was already living, as my ancestors did. Not that I'm living like they did back in the 900s, okay? It's different. But I don't know if it's just part of the genetics, or that that's just part of it. But I've always been very aggressive, even when I love something, or I love somebody, or I love my nation, or I love my country, or I love my countrymen and women, or just my family, my kids, my friends. I love with my whole heart, and I will defend, and I will protect. Now, I may not be the most athletic person, but if I love someone, or I love something enough, I will hurt myself to protect what I and who I love. Period. End of story. So if I come off as an look like I'm aggravated or I'm mad, it's not because, I'm just an angry person. That's not what it is. But we have to understand that these people that are committing these crimes have had thousands of years to study us. There's a lot of things that our ancestors in many cultures and many tribes have went through. There's a lot of history that's being hidden from us. Okay? And, we keep going through these racial issues and everything else. Well, I can tell you right now, okay? It's always going to be that way. We're always going to be arguing and fighting about it. This is the reason why. It is because you're trying to put all these people that come from all these different cultures and put them in one nation. That's what the problem is. And people will call you a racist if you stand up for who you are, where you come from, and what your culture is. And it doesn't matter what culture you're in, you're going to be called a racist one way or another. Well, here's the problem. Everybody just needs to go and find out where their roots are at. Be proud of who you are. Okay? Because I can tell you what they've done just by studying this and understanding it. Now, you might disagree with me, and that's fine, but all I'm asking you to do is try to understand what I'm saying here. Okay? We, as a people, just as a human race, okay? Because you can break it down into different cultures and all that, but I'm not going to do that. All right? A long time ago, we all lived as tribes, tribal peoples, okay? And throughout time, that has been broken down, okay? And it went from families. Then you had your families. And I know that my grandfather, which is my dad's dad, had 15 to 16 brothers and sisters. Well, you can say, well, it's because they didn't have birth control back then or whatever. You can say whatever you want to, but when we left that tribal society, people wanted to still have that connection. So they had big families. Okay? Then it went from that to, you know, having families, but we lived in separate houses. Now we're starting to see what I would call, and I'm going to straight up say this, our enemy, who wants to break up the family, who wants to make women feel like they're an underclass, or make women feel, like they're worthless and all they are is there to have children. No, not in all tribal societies. I mean, not the Scandinavian tribes or the tribes of the North. They did not believe that. They believed that their women were strong women. That every person, has an ability to do certain things. And that if you want to do something, you have to work on that. Okay? They believe that. But these things are being used as tools against us. Because see, what they're doing is they're putting in all these female magazines, they're trying to say men are awful, men are bad, men hate women, men are subjugating women. Instead of having this bond and this unity, that this is the reason why we go out and we try to get involved in sports, or we try to get involved in activities that we can be around other people with. Even if you look at the animal kingdom, it's the same way. You'll see the deers with the deers. You'll see, the wolves packing up. It's the same thing with us. We want to have that communication. We want to be able to, it's because it's something in us, in our genetics, in our DNA, or our genetic memory, or however you want to put it. But these people are trying to manipulate that and put it into people's heads, these women's heads, that men are awful, that they're bad, that you don't worry about it, the state will take care of you, and then we'll charge him the money and he has to pay. That is something that is being manipulated. Okay? And it's getting to an extent where it's starting to be hurtful, not just to families itself, but it's starting to actually hurt the society. Because then we have these children that grow up and they feel alone, they feel misunderstood, and then there's a bond missing, okay? Even when we have our families, it still feels like there's something missing. Well, I mean, we can see this if you go through history and you look at what has happened to us. And they've replaced your medicine man with a doctor, right? Or they used to have, within these tribes, they'd have many teachers, because many people had different abilities. But now we've been separated from that. And I know I'm going a little bit deeper than probably most people will look into this. But in my research and in studying all these things, I have actually went further and deeper and deeper and deeper, not just into the psychology and the religions and everything else, but you can see what's being done. These people are really pushing this abortion thing. They're really pushing this because life is very important, okay? Our whole life we are trying to live, okay? Yes, we grow old, we die. But we have children, and that is the circle of life. Okay? It is natural. It is nature. And there are these people out there that don't want that. They're trying to mess that up. They're going against what is natural and what is part of nature, and you can see it in everything that they do. They're attacking the family. When they try to brainwash the mother, or they try to put all this stuff in the TV, trying to make the male husband look stupid. Okay, that is mind control, and it's being done on a mass level. They get to the female, and then the female gets this mindset, and then the men fight, and they do it with the men too, because how they get to the men is they play on their desires. Okay, and they build that desire up so high, okay, that the women get this feeling like they can't compete, so they have to do all these things in order to be, you understand what I'm saying, okay? And then it goes from that right there to a number of things that they're doing. Okay, it's the break up the family. Well, that's even breaking down the tribe even more. And they don't even have any feelings about saying, when they asked Rand Paul what he thought about abortion, he said, well, go ask Deborah Watchman Schultz if she thinks it's okay to kill a 7-month-old baby. And she said it's up to the mother. You see what I'm saying here? So there's a difference between having a collective of the state and of the government, and having them have control of everything, and actually having a tribe of people, or people that you trust. And people that you know that's going to be there for you, that you can depend on. And we can see it even with our own families, because a lot of us are starting to see what's going on a deeper level, and we're breaking it down, and we can see what's happening. And then when we try to explain this to our family members, or we try to explain this to other people, and they don't get it, or they do get it, and then they lash out at us, or they yell at us, or they don't talk to us, it's very hurtful. This has been done by design. This is another way that they have broken up the family. There's a lot more to this, but like I said, in doing all this and looking at it and understanding it and being, the research is important. And so if I say something that may seem bizarre or, very, very deep, it is because I have went deep down into the psychology, the symbolism, the politics, the brainwashing, all of it. It's just something that it's what you go through. It's the steps. But this is just something I wanted to talk about, something I wanted to put out there for discussion. And these videos help me also. They really have helped me, because I'm getting all my thoughts out. I'm talking about things. So it's beneficial for me as well. But if I would keep going, but I'm almost at 20 minutes, and this thing's not going to post. But I will see you in the next video. I don't know when it's going to be. I don't care. If I make 5 a day, I make 5 a day. Watch it, don't watch it. I'll just throw it up on YouTube. See you in the next one.